Interview number 55 of the Indie Creator Exchange. And today we're joined by Geff Bartrand. Now, if you've been watching our Indie Creator Exchanges, if you go back to, I think it's either episode 10 or 11, we had a guy on by the name of Chance Priest. And the artist for Chance Priest back in the day, getting started on his Warriors of the Universe comics, was none other than our guest today, Geff Bartrand. And Geff, good morning, and how are you doing?
Pretty good. It's Bartrand.
Bartrand. Sorry.
And no problem. I've heard a lot worse.
But this has been a long time overdue, and we're just really excited to have you on. I also want to put another shout out to Dan Snoke, who really got me connected to these comics because of your artwork. So the moment he started flipping through your work on Rave Sensation years ago, I immediately tracked down what the heck this was all about, Chance Priest, and now we finally got you on here. So, Jake,
I'm really proud of the work I did on those.
Should be.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that. But first, take us back in time, and we always ask the same question just to start things off. We're all interested in comics. What was your first awareness of comics? What was the first couple things you got your hands on? What was like your most early influences that you can remember?
Well, how I discovered comics was ROM. I think I was like 4 or 5 years old, and I saw a ROM comic on the rack, and I saw these aliens and monsters, and it really intrigued me. So
ROM, the Space Knight, Marvel 1970s, kind of like a robot superhero or robot hero, right?
Yeah, space. I've always been interested in like monsters and aliens and things, so that when I saw like all the creatures of him fighting, then I was intrigued. But I was, like I said, I was like 4 or 5, and my parents didn't get it for me. I just was looking at it while I was at the store. But then when I was 11, my dad took me to the store and bought me my first comic book, which was Conqueror of the Barren Earth #1, which is like a 4-part miniseries.
Wow. Okay. And who put that out?
Oh, I can't even remember.
Wow. Okay, that one doesn't ring a bell, but I'm gonna pull up a screenshot so we could just get a reference. And what about like your beginning of just doing art yourself?
Oh, I've always been drawing since I can remember. Probably since I was 4 years old again, and I was drawing on my mom's walls with crayons, and then I got my ass beat. And the next day, my parents bought me a drawing pad, so I've been drawing ever since.
Kurt, how do we not know about this Conqueror of the Barren Earth? It looks like late 70s.
Is that DC?
DC, yeah. With a
it was a really fun series.
Wow.
Yeah, that's like it's like early 80s.
Maybe early 80s, yeah. And I'm wondering if this is the same artist that did Ballard, I think the name is. He did the Excalibur stuff, or no, I'm sorry, Camelot. I wonder if that's the same guy.
John Bolton.
Yeah, I mean
the art inside was amazing.
What was the guy?
I can't remember the artist.
John Bolton.
Is it?
Look it up.
Yeah, that sounds familiar.
Right.
Look it up.
So imagine
it's very early in the morning for me, so my mind is a little scattered.
Yeah, no, imagine you're like an impressionable little kid, and you come across these comics. This looks amazing.
I'm definitely getting them.
Yeah,
they're going on my pull list.
It was a fun story.
Wow, I can't believe
it. Amazing.
Yeah. All right. So
it's only a 4-part miniseries. So
yeah.
It didn't get much love, but it was awesome.
That's a great book to start. That is definitely a great book to start with.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Oh,
when you're 11 years
11
old.
years old, man. That's awesome.
we all start somewhere, for sure. There is an omnibus out. It's Gary Cohn and Ron Randall, and
Oh, okay.
created by right. So it's something to do with Mike Grell here being mentioned. But you see how easily we can get off track. Um, so what about formal art training? So take us through like middle school. I don't know what you call it in Missouri, but middle school, junior high, all the way through high school.
I grew up in Michigan,
Oh,
so
okay.
but I didn't have any formal. I just drew. I just have a huge imagination. I lived way out in the country, so there was nothing much to do but play in the woods and draw.
Right.
And then, I mean, when I was older, when I moved out of Michigan, I lived in Tampa, Florida for a while, and I went to computer graphics college. So I learned that side of it. So I wanted to do that so I could learn how to put comics and all that stuff together and
So
just
you're
broaden
mostly
artistic
mostly
abilities, I guess.
self-taught then, right?
Yeah, I mean, it was all like the traditional art was all self-taught, just imagination and time.
And you're just seeing whatever you can get your hands a hold of. As you got older, did you actually start collecting, or were there any titles that you bought or followed? Um, you know,
Oh, I was collecting since that first comic my dad got
yeah.
me.
You so
Um,
right, like when I was a kid, I remember I was trying to get every issue of Master of Kung Fu, everything of Iron Fist. I used to get Marvel Team Up, the X-Men, anything John Byrne. So what 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 were your influences as you got a little more sophisticated?
um, oh, my favorite titles were like Moon Knight and Swamp Thing, like any of like the supernatural type stuff,
Yeah,
like Werewolf by Night. But I also loved like the superhero stuff, like X-Men. I was a big collector of, and for a while it was like West Coast Avengers, and I was just all over the place. I just loved comics.
right.
Hulk, Hulk was a huge one.
Were you I wonder when Image came up in the '90s and started to compete with the bigs. Were you more situated as a Marvel guy or DC, or were you just kind of straddling whatever?
I just I like all of them. I'm not like a specific. I've got to be Marvel or anything because I love Batman and I love, like I said, the X-Men and I love Swamp Thing
Yeah,
and I'm all over the board. It's I don't care about that stuff. I just love the art and the stories. So I mean,
at whatever's
and when
cover.
Image came along, I loved Image and I loved Dark Horse and I mean was a huge fan of Dark Horse because I love Hellboy and like
Right. Okay.
I just
So yeah,
I
you're
just
not partial to any particular uh
no,
comics.
I don't care about that kind of stuff. I'm not that picky. Like I said, I have an imagination and I lived way out in the country, so whatever I could get my hands on, I didn't care. I mean, I loved them both.
So
Did you have a comic book store, or was there another place you were getting titles from?
I lived in a tiny town that had like one blinking yellow light,
Damn.
but they had like a little like a corner store
Yeah.
and they had a rack of books there. And they also rented movies, and me and my friends would like every Friday night we'd go rent The Faces of Death.
right.
Three.
Yes, I remember.
Read comic books and watch horror movies.
Yeah,
Oh man.
we remember those years, the VHS years for sure. Um,
And that I used to skateboard a lot too, so it was one of those things. I was working on my art, I was skateboarding, or I was watching horror movies.
right, right. So take us through your first. Well, I guess we'll start with semi-pro, but what was your first finished work, and then what was your first published work?
Um, let me see. Well, I started out with horror anthologies. There was a group called Black Ink Horror, and they put out these little horror anthology books back when I was on like a what was that?
Was that the Usenet groups?
No, it was like a little dude. Like I said, it's early and my coffee hasn't kicked in yet.
It's all right. It's all right.
I'm brain farting, but it was just like a little area where everybody could have art pages and stuff like before
DeviantArt?
MySpace. Well, DeviantArt, yes, that's where I started,
Okay.
and then we moved on to like MySpace and all those things. But yeah, DeviantArt.
It's amazing they're still in business. It's amazing.
Mhm.
I go over there. I go over there occasionally just to see what is going on because there's still plenty of people over there hacking away and communicating and doing their whole insular world at DeviantArt.
Yeah.
I think I still have the page up, but I haven't been there in like 10 years.
Right.
But yeah, I was like met a bunch of artists through there, and the one guy contacted me, and I started doing like 2-page illustrations for short stories, and I there was like 7 of those that were put out, and then he put out a couple other anthology books, and then it was like a Jonathan Mayberry was doing like novels, and I got a couple illustrations in his books. So I started out in like the horror anthologies, and then with the comic books, I did a toy package for Luke Toy Walker, like Underworld Muscle, I think.
Okay.
And there's Underworld Muscle and Underworld Customs, and for some reason my brain always gets confused between the two. But I did a toy package for Luke for his Doom Riders of the Apocalypse, like a skateboard. He posted about it on Instagram, and I contacted him, and because I had that idea when I was like 15 or 16. I drew the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse as skateboarders, and I was like, I'd love to do your artwork for the package, so I did that, and that's where Chance saw me. But
That answers that
it was
question.
like 10 years before that, I did a comic book for a couple other guys. It was Mulligan. I did a comic book for him, and then, but I got hooked up. I'm all over the place right now. Sorry, guys.
It's all right. It's all right.
I used to do a horror convention in Orlando, Florida called Spooky Empire,
Okay.
and a guy came to my table and was talking to me about comics, and I did a comic for him, and then he hooked me up with this other guy, and I did a comic for him, and then I was working on my own comics for a while, and doing other like just artwork in general.
Do you have a
And
website or an Instagram where this like bibliography of work is available for people that want to like, go back and see if they can collect all your stuff?
I need to get a website. I used to have one, and then I just let it run out
Yeah.
because everybody just uses Instagram and stuff now anyway.
Right.
So I just post thing on Instagram.
So are all these oldies but goodies all linked on your Instagram if someone wants to see the cover, the title, publisher, and all that kind of stuff?
Uh, I was gonna do another Instagram page with just like my published stuff,
Yeah.
but I'm putting all that together. So sometime soon I will do that, where it just shows like all the books and. But I'm also making a new art book, which I want to do in the back a complete bibliography of stuff
Good
I've
call.
worked on.
Good call.
Really? So let's talk about your style now. So I know it's very detailed. it's very rich. The pages are very dense. I love that. I think we do that too. We try to like have really full panels and backgrounds, and like, I really cringe when I see some of these comics, Marvel and DC included, that it's like you're just turning the pages and there's like one figure there and just a completely empty background, or all this wasted space. Um, so
Well,
tell us
I
about
grew
like
up with
how your style developed, and why you have so much on the page.
art is my therapy, and I have a problem with blank space. I grew up with artists like Bernie Wrightson and that whole era of
Yeah,
artists, and they were just all so highly detailed, and I admired the hell out of it and loved just looking through the art and finding all the hidden stuff.
right,
So I try to in my own style anyway. I don't want to copy them, but I try to just be as detailed as possible, and I want something where you can look at it and then you can go back and look at it and you find new stuff like every time you look at it.
right.
It's happening to me right now, Geoff. The one thing, um, I'll have to say the first thing that attracted me to your work is exactly what Jake is leading us down the road with, is it's the density. You can move through one of your books, reading it, but when you do come back, and especially if you're an artist, and I think that was the other thing that really connected,
I think
just your wood panel texture. I mean, I'll hold this one up here because you can kind of really see it. It's fascinating. It's
Kurt, you
it
there?
you don't
Or
you
is it me?
don't get. I know this, and I will argue with you if you disagree with me. You don't get bored. There's no getting bored with you. It's not like this background of boards behind this character was going to be like oh god, now I got to put a background in. It feels like to me that you're all committed, even to the point, and this is always the big tell for how good a black and white artist is. And I with shame don't do it enough. Is stippling.
So that's it. That's a Stippling is such a pain in the butt, but it makes everything look so good.
Doesn't it?
I love
Doesn't
it.
it?
I love it.
Well, stippling.
I use like all kinds of. I use like cross hatching and stippling and just millions of lines.
You should, in your art book, you should dedicate a couple page, like two-page spreads of just the way you organize. Maybe the best you can do in organizing the use of hatching, cross hatching, stippling, parallel. You should. I mean, that I think would just be super cool. And even giving reference, because just like this, I'm landing
Yeah,
on this here. I mean, this is incredible, Geoff.
yeah.
There's no
I
way
want to make.
there's no way you could spend less than 5 minutes on this page. I just don't see how you can.
I would love to do a poster of that one because
Oh,
I
you
got
have to.
that's one of my favorite pages because I got in there and I did all the book titles
Yeah.
and all kinds of crazy stuff in that page. I love that page.
So yeah, I think that your pages have so much on them that you might even catch the eye of some kind of like fine art connoisseurs, and take them out of context, and maybe see your original art as more of like display worthy or exhibition worthy. Maybe it'll be some time like after you have a whole bunch of like publishing credits or something. But we were talking about the world of fine art a little while ago, and you know, to me, I could see that page right there just being in its own, in a frame, in a mat, on a wall, in a gallery, group show or solo or whatever,
I agree.
and
I
kind of
agree.
like transcend comics. Not to say that you shouldn't do comics. I think it's even better if it's in the context of storytelling and
Yeah.
ongoing characters and escapism and stuff. But like I'm just trying to say, like, your stuff is, I love the way it's all packed in. I think we're on the way to that, but even our density is probably not as thorough as yours.
Well, for the most part, I used to do just single page drawings, and I wanted to be a cover artist.
Right.
So I basically just worked on single art, and then like when with Chance Priest, I got more involved with, and I was pushing myself to do comic books. It's like I always loved comic books, always wanted to do comic books, but before it was just like short stories and things like that. But minus the couple I did before him, his were the ones I was really pushing myself to do better and learn all I could. I wanted to make it fun and interesting, so I was trying to do figure out interesting ways to do panel work.
Yeah.
And like I promised all the guys in the group, I'd get better every issue, and I think I got more detailed and more interesting. But those were a lot of work. I mean, he wanted everything traditional, so I had to do all the pencil sketches and then all the inks and all the colors by hand, and it took a long time.
Did you color the originals, or what's the coloring process?
Well, I love black and white ink work, so I'd do the originals and I'd leave the black and white ink work, and then I would scan and color those. But I do like light scans because I wanted to color and then re-ink on top of it. So the colors were basically originals again. But
so you have two sets. You have a set of black and white, and then you have a set of color pages.
Yes.
That is amazing. And then just to clarify, you said that you like the opacity is not 100% from your black and white scans. You bring it down to like 50, like a gray.
I think it was like 33%.
Wow.
I used.
Wow. Okay. And then colors, and then black ink again to kind of tighten up areas.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes you could have a colored holding line too, right? It doesn't have to be black.
Yes. I've been playing around with that idea. I just haven't found the right paint pens that are dark enough, like a dark purple, brown, green, blue, red. But the other thing too about your work is your choice of coloring. Like
I love dark imagery, but I love bright.
I'm the same way. I am the same way. So how are you making your decisions? Are you, do you have kind of like an approach in the way of like just start with the primaries, red, blue, green, red, blue, and yellow, and then move from there, or do you have like this castle has to be emerald green, and then everything else has to move from there?
Well, yeah, Chance had his characters, and a lot of the times I would look at the toys because he would make the toys.
Right.
Now I'd base the colors off them. Sometimes I think they're his character Auroras. I played around with the colors because I think he was red and blue, and I added some oranges and stuff in there to give some depth and stuff. But for the most part, those were his color choices.
Well,
but with the backgrounds, I could do whatever I wanted.
Right.
So
right, makes sense.
And
a lot of like the bugs and the creatures in the background are my creations as well.
I think my internet might have cut out. Did you say what you were using to do the colors?
Oh, mostly just markers and like acrylic paints.
Okay.
What brand markers?
Oh, just whatever I could find, really.
Okay.
Right.
Fair enough.
Well, there's
I'd go to the store, and because I mean that comic ate through so much marker, it was ridiculous. I spent $150 on art materials for each book.
Damn.
And that's what I made from each book. So I didn't make anything.
Oh
I
my
just put
gosh.
it all right back into the book.
Wow.
So we do like to talk. We do nerd out on materials and brands and stuff, and I understand, like, getting it done any way possible, but from Sharpies to Pasco markers to paint markers to they used to be design markers. Now there's a lot of different brands you could buy on eBay that are alcohol based. And then you're talking about like acrylic paint. There's also acrylic paint markers now, where you don't have to have it in a jar, and it's actually pretty efficient. Kurt and I,
I love paint markers.
yeah,
They're great for like line work and stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, Sharpie has a set of they call them Sharpie Creative markers, and these are just out in the last couple months. But they
Hmm.
come with there's a 12 pack that has brush tips that have a very fine tip, and we're both astounded at how well the markers work. Um, they're kind of opaque, they're semi-opaque, but it's like right out of the box, they're really useful for getting fine lines, and they're laying down acrylic so that you can even smudge it, with your finger or a brush, or wet it. The 24 pack, unfortunately, has the bullet tips. 12 of them are brush tips, and 12 of them are bullet tips. But if you're doing color work, you might want to check into these because they're well worth the price. And
I'm definitely gonna have to look into those. I love paint markers.
yeah, and there's a lot of like Asian imitators that you can buy now on I guess Temu or something, and they'll
Amazon.
well, Amazon has them, but Temu has them, and you can buy like 140 pack of different colors now. I just don't know how long those last, because we haven't even been through a set yet. But I find these to be really superior. I have a set of acrylics. I have a set of gouache. All like little tube paints and everything. But it's really handy if you can just like do it on your lap. With markers too. So
Yeah, I got a couple of those paint marker sets from Temu
yeah.
before, and they actually work really good. But my daughter kept stealing them, and then when I needed them, they would be empty. So,
Well, at least she's getting her training and exploration, right? That's valuable.
oh yeah, I love watching her style grow and her coming into her own, which is a lot of fun for me. So,
Oh, I bet.
Do you plan for her to inherit the franchise?
but we're actually working on a comic
Oh,
together.
Oh,
that's
awesome!
awesome.
That's like
That is awesome.
that's the comic I put on. That's the comic I put on hold for Warriors of the Universe, which I'm almost done with the first book, which is probably a little over 40 pages long.
Right.
I'm working on. I got like 3 or 4 more pages to work on, and then the first issue will be done.
So,
But
is this something that you're writing as well as drawing?
yes, it was like when my daughter was 2 years old, we used to do. I'd try to push her imagination, and we came up with some characters. So between her characters and my characters, I wanted to write a story. So it's basically her in a post-apocalyptic world with the planet invaded by these crazy aliens, and it opens up this gas from the ground from the explosions and stuff, and it mutates all the animals into like a animal pork, like the
Yeah,
animal people,
right. Yeah, and what are we trying to say? Anthropomorphic.
anthropomorphic, whatever. Yeah, tongue twisters. Tongue twisters too early in the morning. But yeah, it's all crazy, and I just wanted something where I could use like because I've been drawing characters since I was a kid as well, and I just have pages and pages of these crazy characters, and I'm still coming up with stuff, and I just thought it'd be a fun way for us to bond.
No, that's great.
And
I'm a middle school art teacher, and I have a project I've been working on with students for a long time, and the quality goes down, but it goes sideways really. And Kurt is like, wow, this is great examples of street art or outsider art. It's just as valid and fully colored pages. So I'm gonna be putting that out pretty soon. What grade is your daughter in?
She is in 8th grade
Oh,
now.
okay, yeah, she's getting up there. So she's definitely got a good example, good role model here. And the
Yeah.
post-apocalyptic worlds. That's what Kurt and I are doing that. That's what we love. So always interested in seeing that kind of work.
Jeff, what's the
Oh yeah.
title again of this?
Oh, the new one.
Yeah.
It's called Winter's Journey. My daughter's name is Winter.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So,
That's super cool.
so
We'll be
Wow.
looking forward
yeah,
to that.
Yeah.
it's fun. I mean, I started out by doing like one book, and I was gonna color it, so I did it a little more simple. And then I was like, no, I got to have the origin in the first issue, so I expanded it. So now that's why it's like 40 some pages long. So the second half is like extremely detailed, like the Gobbo book. But the first half is like a little more simple without as much details. But I'm thinking about going back and adding more details into those pages as well.
That
But
sounds great. And
it's a fun one.
is this the first thing that you're writing as well as drawing? Cool.
Like I said, I've been doing a lot of like short stories and things. I have a couple books that I published before called Dr. Twisted's Realm of Madness,
Okay.
and it's all just short stories that were based on these weird ass dreams I had,
Yeah.
and that was like right out of college, and I was still learning everything, and I mean it didn't really go anywhere, but I still have some, and I think they're fun.
Yeah, well, you could put those out in an anthology or something. You could definitely find somewhere to put those. The first comic I ever finished was about a nightmare that I had, so that's a good source material there.
Oh yeah, they were. I used to have some just whacked out crazy dreams, and I was like, I better write these down and turn them into stories. So
Right. And
there's one story about a guy who gets attacked. He just eats chicken nuggets all the time, and then he wakes up being attacked by these giant chicken nuggets. And
yeah, well, that's a good theme, like a cautionary tale, right?
Jake, I want to move to promoting. How Jeff's promoting his work.
All right. Well, so the question here is, after you finish your work and you put in a hard day, what do you do to get your art out there? Do you use social media? You do cons? You do mail order? Times are really changing. So, what kind of things do you find work?
yeah, I like I said, I'm on Instagram and Facebook and YouTube, and I usually just do that. But with Hundo, the writer for like the Gobbo and the Techno-R comics, he's really good at the promoting, so he does a lot of that. I'm just an artist, and I just want to be a recluse and draw.
That's what I
That's
was
fair
telling
enough.
Kurt before.
Yeah. How did SPX treat you?
That was a lot of fun. I mean,
Yeah.
I had that was a. I mean, I didn't make the money that I put into it, but it was a fun experience, and I had a lot of fun talking. I love doing shows. I love meeting people and talking to new people and just selling my wares and seeing what they think of what I do.
Right.
It's all like a learning experience for me, and I just try to put myself into situations that take me outside of my comfort zone, so I can grow as a person and just be better. I guess that's all I can say.
So, what is your production schedule for the foreseeable couple of months or years or whatever?
I have a full-time job,
Yeah.
so I do what I can. I'm drawing every day. I mean, and the process is a little slow, but I'm I've gotten a lot faster since WO2
Yeah.
because of the comic books. I mean, when you draw comic books, you definitely grow as an artist and get a lot faster,
Yeah.
which is hard to believe for the amount of detail and stuff I put in there, but
Right. I know people are probably wondering how you do that and
yeah,
and get quicker at it, but it's possible. You know.
it's
It's
just focus.
right.
You gotta have discipline, and I mean, I usually just come home and put a movie on in the background, or most of the time now I just put on music so I can just focus on the art. And
Right. Well, that's what a lot of people that watch our podcasts, are also drawing. Just something to have on in the background, and similar people doing similar things.
I'm
Um,
working on
yeah,
work.
Kurt says like we're
Oh wow!
just like
Look
hanging
at
out.
that. Oh man, that is sweet. How
This is
big? How
this
big do you get? I mean, is that standard paper size for you, Geoff?
this is 8.5 by 11. I
Right.
had an idea that I wanted to doodle out, and
That's a doodle.
usually I working on 11 by 17
Okay.
page, but this it was I was at work the other day and I looked at the wall and I saw
Oh my
a little spot in the wall and it looked like this face.
god.
And I was like, okay, I want to expand on that. So then I just started working on,
Ah,
I wanted to make all these creatures out of human face parts.
oh,
So
that's
it was just,
awesome.
We have to talk about this,
That's great.
Kurt. There,
We have
there's
to talk
something
about
there's something called paradiola, and it's where you see faces in like random objects and like raindrops on a window or the cracks in the floor or whatever. And I go over it with my students because we try to find like random faces or letters or images inside of crumpled paper or all kinds of different things when you adjust the brightness and the contrast. So it's like looking at the world through an artist's eye where you're trying to interpret and make meaning out of things, and it can give you ideas that you never ever would have thought of, including facial expressions sometimes.
I used to do that a lot when I was a teenager. I lived, like I said, I lived way out in Michigan in the country. So if I was going through an artist block, I would sit on the back porch and just look out at the tree line, and then I would just start focusing, and I would start getting characters from the trees, and just that's how I just did little tests to push my imagination. It's like, what can I see out of this one? And then everything just started focusing, and I'd come up with a character that way. But the rocks with the faces on them,
Yeah.
I had like a little rock collection that I found with all rocks with faces, and
Yeah, my mom used to do that actually. My mom used to go crazy. She used to say, "There's a face in this one," and she used to want me to take a sharpie and like draw it out, and she was like explain to me where it was. But talk about for a second like what it was like working with Chance. Now we when we interviewed him, it was very clear that he has a million different characters and a million different worlds bubbling in his mind, and he's just so confident about what they are, what they're like, and what their history is and everything. And he's got one of these brains that operates like no, this is how it is, like oh no, that character, no, he's not as shy as he looks, stuff like that. So what was it like working with him, and did you guys kind of like have a meeting of the minds where you're you know creating these characters, and really bringing this kind of like inventiveness to it?
we really didn't talk a whole lot. I mean, at first we talked, and he's pretty much just like just do what you do. He's like, but they got to look like my characters. And then if I did something and it looked like that, her Hara character, the way I drew the eye sockets,
Right.
he thought it looked like there was an eyeball in there, but it was just like the lighting effects that I was doing. But he was like, no, this has got to be like pitch black. It's like, so I had to go through and change that, or like just little changes, because I'd always do like the pencil sketches and send it to him
Right.
to get his approval. But
Okay.
for the most part, he just sent me the story, and the next time he'd hear from me is when it was print ready, basically, or when I needed his stuff,
Right.
like his pinups and toy ads and whatnot.
Did he send you any of the figures, reference models?
Pictures of them. I mean,
Okay.
Yeah. That's what Chance said. It was like it's easier to send photos. Um, but yeah, he's got quite a little operation going there. Like he has these auctions, and seems like he does all right with these you know these little models he makes, right?
I don't know. I haven't been part of the group since I left.
Oh yeah, so you made 2 comics for him, and that was it.
Four.
Oh, it was 4.
Four. I
Four.
was
You
on the
have
I was on the last page of issue 5 when we parted ways.
Okay, and and are you working for other writers slash publishers now?
I'm working for the Hundo Industries that put out like the Gobbo and the Technoir and the Deity.
Right. Kurt, maybe you could flash up screenshots of those when you do the edit.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it'd be great.
Well, we got
plug.
part of the, I want to really get to the Deity talk and the Hundo. When I met you at SPX, you were sitting with your partner. If you want to give his name, and what Hundo is all about, Geff.
Well, Doyle Bunions is the writer,
Okay.
and me and him have been longtime friends. When I moved to Tampa, Florida, I met him, and we just used to go to the flea markets and hunt at the flea markets and stuff like that. And then we were talking a while, like when I was working on Warriors of the Universe, we wanted to start our own comics. So he wrote Gobbo just for my art style. And so that was his homage to my art style. He wanted to do
Wow.
a fantasy story just for me to get lost in.
Wow.
So that was basically what started it. And then the first book we put out was Hundo, the Art of Geff Bartrand, which was a preview book of Gobbo, the Winter's Journey story that I'm working on, and another story that I'm working on called The Strangest Story Ever Told, which is just pure madness. But that one I got 17 pages done, but I'm been focused on the Winter's Journey right now, and then I'll work on that one and finish that one afterwards. But then we did Technoir, which I have a 4-page story arc in that, and I did the logo design for the cover and put everything together and did edits here and there. Deity was another guy. It's basically his life story, where how he started this biker gang, Deity. He did all the artwork.
Yeah, we're gonna talk. We're gonna really get into this. Jake, did you have a question before I move into Deity?
Yeah,
no,
I just wanted to know is who's doing the writing on Gobbo?
that was Doyle Bunions.
Right. Okay. So is he giving you full scripts for you to draw from?
Yeah, he wrote the story, and he gives me ideas for like the panels, like how he wants it laid out.
Oh, really? Like thumbnails?
And then I just go to town from there. Everything is my imagination, but his idea.
Yeah. So is it helpful for him to get? So he's giving you like little thumbnails of how the page should be laid out.
Well, for that page, he's just basically the story, and then he gives little notes like it's a swamp scene at night with the moon showing, and Gobbo's sitting in a tree looking over the swamp, and then
Wow.
I came up with that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so you're definitely doing the heavy lifting there. That's great. I mean, that's a beautiful spread. Honestly, that's so nice right there.
Yeah.
And one of the
I do my best work when people are just like, go crazy and do
Yeah,
what you
do
do.
Geff. Do Geff.
right, but it's like there are artists that skimp on backgrounds, and then there are artists that really lean in and say, no, this is a great opportunity to show off textures and patterns. And if you're doing, like, I always thought about Tim Vigil. He had a couple of books where he was doing these nature backgrounds, and you could just like look at like 15 different types of plant, that he would draw meticulously. Like, a bush of this is right next to a bush of that, and what a
He
great,
still,
like,
still does that.
who else?
I said he still does that.
Yeah, he's
Tim
still
Vigil.
doing that, right? But for everybody listening, right, it's a great challenge. And it's not hard to go out into your into your local park or your garden or whatever. Just look at different plants, come back, draw them, like integrate them, and different types of leaves, different type of nature designs. And then you also have this composition here, like it's the very sweeping movement from right to left, and it really draws the eye. It's just fantastic stuff.
Thank you.
Yeah, the trees are always very interesting to draw because the motion that they can take on very human characteristics, and they can they can really be a good instrument for design, I think.
I
Gotta love,
love the flow trees.
yeah, gotta love the trees.
So when I was hanging out with Dan Snoke last year, I think for SPX, yeah, it was it SPX, or no, it might have been, we were doing some comic store shopping. Either way, Dan had bought, I think, a 5-pack from your Kickstarter for Deity, and he gave me a copy. And when I opened it up, and then he told me like the background story on it, I lost my mind. And then I'm going to let Jake kind of explain something that we're getting ourselves into in just a moment. But I want to give you the stage really to explain to people why you would put so much time and energy to print. This is a 1993 comic book, over 100 pages, and you run across this guy online, and you end up doing a Kickstarter and printing him for Hundo. Can give us a story on this?
Well, Doyle, he's the one that found him.
Okay.
He goes hunting for interesting characters.
Woo-hoo, boy.
He is a treasure. But he found this guy, and he's like, dude, can I put this book out? And they were talking. He's like, I don't know the whole backstory.
Okay.
He just gave it to me to edit
Okay.
and put it all together and stuff. I mean, I put the collage together. I put the whole book together. But the guy, he did all the art. He did the story. He did everything. I just had to. But when he did the art, it's all like one solid page, and he crammed all the words together.
Right.
You could barely read it. So I had to go into Photoshop and cut all the words apart, and that was very tedious work. But
thank you for doing that. Thank you for doing that. Seriously.
oh, believe me, that was a headache. But I think it's a fun book. I mean, it's a crazy story. I mean,
It
a
is.
teenager starting his own bike gang, and it reads as a comedy, but it's fun.
Okay.
It is.
And but
The,
yeah, it was a treat to read that one.
Well, it's
I
like,
love those old like heavy metal power comics.
right.
I love how he put like the songs.
Yes,
like,
I was just gonna say, it says insert Godless Danzig. I love that. I just love that because it's like I gotta go get that. I gotta go to YouTube and or Spotify and then put that on there.
Well, Kurt,
because
it's a movie in a book.
What's that?
I said, Kurt,
It's like a bio movie in a book.
Right. Kurt and I have been discussing for a while I think they're called motion comics, and I think this is really underutilized, and I think it's going to catch on. Maybe some people will even use like AI, but um, you know,
I hope.
no, I know, but it's getting insufferable. But the idea is it's a little video that reads the comic for the person, shows the art, and then the dialogue is a voice, and might even have sound effects and a great opportunity to put in music, right? And some of these platforms really allow it, right? If you're just if it's you press the music icon and then you can dial up like all these songs and you could put what part of the song you want. So I think this is something that's gonna we're gonna be seeing more of. It's like these little read throughs of comics, because not everybody can get their hands on the physical edition, and people are trying to get everything online so it could go viral and all that. But when there is a good match to art and audio, um, there are definitely tools for that. And the I was telling Kurt a little bit about the animation, the level of animation that we're seeing today, like on Marvel or Disney Channel or whatever. And it's really interesting to see the quality. It's going up of rotoscoping and stuff like that. So I hope that the people that are creative and that make comics and tell stories will be able to use a lot of different tools like that in the future.
True.
So one of the things I've been talking about, it came up in the last two interviews, and it's just so so funny to now be staring at Deity and thinking the same thing. Is that comic books can be I don't want to say educational is just such a crappy word. It's more like a great way to share ideas and thoughts. Like
Oh, yeah.
I would definitely, if I was trying to sell this comic book to somebody, would not call it autobiographical. I would call it a guy who had an idea, whether it happened or not, took the time to document the thoughts and ideas that he had, because we can go back to these great color photographs and think like, okay, well, he probably did something relative to what the idea was, but this comic has such a force of like not only do it yourself, but do it. Like don't worry about anything, just do it. Was that also you guys is kind of like, because you had to put time in, Geff? Like that's still the thing that makes me go, what the hell, man? This is amazing that these two guys put all this time in.
I think what the guy, I think
Adam.
he had a dream, and he told him that he was going to be a huge star or whatever, that this was going to be amazing and just go to the top.
Right.
And so he started it from a dream that told him that he needed to get his story out.
Wow.
So that's what he started and did all this. It's like, it's just a crazy 90s heavy metal power comic.
Yep. I mean, this is the thing. I just, I think if there was anything you guys could do for this, and yourselves as well, being the publishers of it, is getting it on Power Pulp's YouTube channel. Now we know Evan is on hiatus, or what's happening there, but I can't see how him and his co-hosts wouldn't just, like, this is like the cherry on the cake. If you were trying to collect all Power comics,
Mm-hmm.
this is in my feeling the cherry on the cake, because it's actually documenting somebody in that frame of mind that would probably be more I want to make a superhero comic, You know what I mean? Like a comic book. But here he's using all of his skill and might to just tell his story. But I think, and you guys even have like more pages. Like this is not just a one and done.
He's still working on it.
He's still working on it.
He's still making new pages. Yeah.
Holy mo!
His story continues.
We're gonna have to. I'm gonna have to track him down. I'll have to get in contact through you guys. I really want to talk more about this. I just, it very much in my feeling aligns with the future of comics. If I can move us into that the third segment, which is it doesn't have to be about entertainment purely as superhero or character adventure arc. You know, it's also really about like it's the same thing I feel about Gobbo. It's not it's a story. It's not like something I have to invest, you know, in Wolverine and Superman comic, you know, that type of thing. It's literally a feeling of one and done, and there's something going on there. Our third question in this interview, Geff, is the future of comics. Basically, your hopes, dreams, or even trepidations about the future of comics that you would like to share.
I think the future is independent. To tell you the truth.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
I mean, a lot of people are getting tired of the
Yep.
the whole Marvel thing. It's just all the same stories rehashed with new characters.
Yep. Crap. Sick to death of it.
And they like played the whole zombie thing out. Now they're
Yeah.
doing like vampires and. But I think the future is definitely independent. There's so many people out there with great stories to tell.
Yeah.
Like the Deity. I mean, there's plenty of people out there that have their own crazy stories that they could tell.
Yes.
And those would be very interesting to see, like people's real life journeys with some added drama, of course, to, move the story along. But
sure. What has been the reactions? Have you had people come up to you or send you an email or anything like about Deity?
The experience, most of the experience I got was at SPX, while people were going crazy over it.
I bet
that was a lot of fun to see, like all the. Like I said, I love doing shows to see people's reactions, and yeah, we got some good reactions on Deity, Gobbo, and Technoir. So
yeah, definitely.
But yeah, a lot of the people loved the paintings that he did.
What is what's the quick version of the story summary for Deity?
Basically, a teenager trying to figure out who he is, and something happens when he was out camping in the woods, and he wanted to be the Fonz.
Yeah.
Started his own gang.
It's so awesome. I mean, it's just I just think it's so.
Yeah. So right, it doesn't have to be superheroes or I mean, the horror genre seems like it's really getting popular now, but it's really about what's original nowadays, right? And sometimes we do turn to our dreams, or our dreams speak to us. And they might give you a story or a beginning of a story, or even a scene that you want to incorporate. And dreams are tricky because people interpret them, and some people see it as it's just nonsense, but some people say no, like this is a message. I've been entrusted with this message to the world, and I've got to publish it, or I've got to release it somehow. So
I'm glad he went with it, because otherwise we wouldn't have this crazy story out there.
Right.
It's great.
Yeah, it's good. And all of us, Kurt always says, everybody should have a note paper handy by the bed in case you have a dream, and you should journal it before it fleets away, right?
Oh
And
yeah, I used to do that. Have a little notepad. So I'd be like, oh, I'll remember it in the morning, and then I'd wake up and it would be
Like,
gone.
what?
so do
Damn.
I'm like,
not remember. Yeah, there's something weird about that where it really just does go away. They expire. It's like an Instagram reel, right? It just expires after a while. But so yeah, so I guess we have to come to the part where we do the indie creator exchange. We call this the creator exchange because we ask all of these visitors to our podcast to then um, give us some criticisms or some feedback on our comic, the Turbo Pit Fighter, which is only not quite half done yet, but almost half done in the latest teaser. So did you get a copy of that? Oh, there it is right there. Oh, I see that.
Bing.
I
Yeah,
see.
I gave
Oh,
it to him. I gave it to him at SPX. He was on. He was like number 2 on my list. I gotta see Geoff. I gotta meet him, and I gotta get the exchange on. So yeah, I was glad that it came together.
heck yeah, I had a lot of fun reading this. I mean, I'm a huge Conan the Barbarian fan.
Me
okay.
too.
So when I read this, I saw like a lot of similarities between the original like Conan movie, like how her whole village gets killed and she
Yep.
gets put into the pit fights and stuff.
Yep.
I love it. I love the violence and the details and stuff you guys get into. It's a lot of fun. A lot of great movement.
Oh, thanks. Yeah. I wasn't kind of aware of the Conan thing, but now that you mention it, it might be subliminal, or maybe that's kind of like a
That
recurring
was
theme.
because you and I were hanging out. Yeah, I mean, I was always Conan this, Conan that
Yeah.
when
Well,
we were together back in
Kurt
the
claims
late
like
night.
he
I mean,
saw the Conan movie like 50 times. I mean, I only saw it like 3 times.
I watch it every. I watch it every. I've been watching it every year on my birthday
Okay.
since it came out. Since it came out on VHS, it is my favorite movie. There's no.
It is one of my go-to yearly movies to
Yeah,
watch.
absolutely, absolutely.
It's like I love Conan, the comics, the movies,
Yep,
everything about barbarians in general.
yep.
Right.
It's a good
Well,
time to be a barbarian.
It's like I love barbarians and post-apocalyptic stories, and you guys delivered. So that's
Thank
a
you.
lot of fun.
yeah. So we started making this comic, and as we were doing the podcast, we started thinking of the backstory, like how did the world get this way? And we always talk about like when you're watching a movie and it has like the intro and it's like in the year 2185 there was a big explosion or there was a nuclear war or something, and they just kind of like go through it like in a minute, right? And then you're in this landscape, you're in this wasteland.
Hellhole.
Right. So we were like, well, it's got to be more gradual than that. So we started thinking about it. And, we have this whole like sequel world and this whole backstory that we're doing mostly in writing. But we do finally now have some collaborators that are working on some of the side stories in the prequel world. And Alex Turbin is doing The Duke, which is an 11 pager about this guy, this big resistance guy that predates Turbo, and we hired Ken Landgraf to do the Casualties, which is kind of a little more superhero-ish, but it's talking about these like enhanced characters that are forerunners of the world that Turbo, will end up in when, and so this is when like things aren't quite like destroyed yet. Like the difference between the first Mad Max and the second one, the Road Warrior, and
Hmm.
things clearly go downhill in between the two movies, right? You just
Right.
right, you just like have to imagine like it was just going bad and worse and worse and worse. So we have these prequels stories, and we have like a whole bullet list of characters that we have been opening up to collabs with other people, artists, writers, and so far we have two other people that we're working with, but there's like so much different material there. That's all the Ken Landgraf stuff that Kurt is showing. We just finished working on all the lettering and stuff, so we're getting
Very cool.
yeah, we're getting psyched, and it's fun also on the podcast when we're both drawing, to talk about like what technologies are changing already now in the present, and versus what's going to be in the future. Because Kurt and I are always arguing about like robots and drones and AI and things, because like there's so much that's already real, that when you think 100 years out, or even 50 years out, like you just can't conceive of what the real world is going to be like.
Well, it's crazy how far we've come along technology wise in the past 10 years alone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know, and
Yeah.
and AI is just like the last five, where it's like commercially, unleashed on people, and it's causing all these problems and headaches. But it's also, being used for like, some people, are trying to capitalize it to make money. Some people are, helping to do like if you're an animator, you can just give it the keyframes now, and the freaking computer will just do all the in betweening now that used to take like weeks and days and everything. So I guess everyone's using it for different stuff, but I just get really paranoid about the ability of weaponizing things, because the drones are just completely anonymous. They could just fly anywhere and do anything, and it's really, to me, it's really creepy. But
We are living in some like uncharted times right now.
yeah, for
And
sure. We just have to count on the fact that most people are good, and hopefully there's not going to be any mad scientist that gets a hold of like bioweapons or something. I mean, we've always had this worry, but hopefully most people are just doing all this stuff in sci-fi stories, and not the real world. But who knows? Putin is using drones now, and all these other there definitely are some bad actors out there.
yeah, it's hard to tell because I mean, like AI, I mean, there's some good uses for it, but there's definitely things where it just rips off artists and steals their work.
Oh yeah.
That I that I don't like, but I mean, to further like help humanity, I don't mind that aspect of it for like the medical and stuff like that. But for the art, I'm I love traditional art, and I went to school for computer graphics, so sometimes I still color on the computer if I feel like it or whatnot. But that's still basically traditional. You're just using the computer to color.
Yeah, I mean, Photoshop is tools that people use to be creative. What's unethical is if they grab somebody's art and they train a computer to give a third person now the benefit of their art abilities, just by typing out a prompt, and now
Yeah.
that they're kind of like exploiting that artist.
Yeah,
And
like I want to do this piece, but in this guy's style, and that I don't like that part of it.
well, right, and I'm an art teacher, so I have to really straddle that line, because like some kids might really be in a world where this is unavoidable, and it's my job to get them at least aware, and not make all these like judgment decisions. So I've been experimenting with it, and I took some of my posters, and I feed it into AI, and then as you see, like it's making like I did the first frame and that's it, and then the AI is doing everything else, and I tried it a couple different ways, and it's like wow, really impressive and blah blah blah, but it looks
That's
like
your
AI.
artwork. That's fine.
Yeah. And then
I
I realized real quick, like what I just did for these programs is I just voluntarily gave them my art, and now they have the right to train their models and and use it, and people are really inadvertently, like, same thing when you do, like, oh, let me see a picture of my grandmother, alive again, moving. It's like, okay, fine, that's cute, and you show it to your family, but then they have that picture of your grandmother, and now they're using it to train their models, to do whatever they want, and so there's a real give and take, and I don't think most people are aware, what you're signing over when you just upload a picture.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen some amazing things that some of the because it is another tool and it takes a
Yeah.
lot to learn it properly. And I've seen some amazing things where people are doing like their own movies and they're doing their own imagination and their own creativity and putting it into it. And that I find is fine.
Yeah, I mean,
But like,
it's
the whole stealing of other people, that's I mean I guess that goes with anything because you can steal people's style and art for traditional ways.
Oh, it's been
But
going on forever. I think that's
yeah,
there's a lot of like now the news outlets are kind of like turning the corner because they're starting to find how the human introspective look at creativity now I think is more interesting because I've seen so many which is they don't say outwardly like here's our anti art AI art segment, but they're very much like going local or going somewhere and talking to somebody who has a firm grasp in what it is they're doing and how they're doing it, and then properly promoting it. My prediction, and I you know this rolls really poorly, I think, with most of the people I end up talking with people about AI because I'm super excited about it all, even for the art part of it, because I really, really feel in my bones it's going to push the cream to the top. Like
yeah,
we have already like looking at your work, Geoff. It you could pump this entire comic book into a computer AI and put this, Geff Bartrand uh, style and pump things out, but your innovativeness isn't there. There isn't the decision making so much of like no, I'm not going to shade horses like this anymore. I'm going to start shading because the scene depicts that, and that's going to become such a key element for people going, oh god, AI is slop. Oh, AI is slop, because they're even using the term now. But it's going to go to the opposite, and I think I tell everybody make art physical, keep it. You know what I mean? Hold on to it because there's going to be something that really comes along and celebrates, the human innovativeness of creating. So, and I'm, like I said, really, really all in on it. And yeah, we'll see what happens. I think the only thing we really need, and Jake and I talk about this a lot, is some way of blockchaining the identity of your work and ownership online. I feel it's never going to happen properly the way we would really be able to benefit financially from it. But who knows? Because the one thing I also use in argument is until the courts start deciding, which they're always favoring the humans. They've yet to say, oh no, this AI model now owns this creative output thing. It's going to take something that comes along that I think companies like Disney and the likes are going to have to be like, crap, Geoff Geoff owns all of this that we want to now use as a graphic visual identifier. So we're going to have to pay him in perpetuity to come work with us and help us expand, his work into our universe, which, they would just steal it anyways, from the beginning. But if you could actually prove it through a blockchaining methodology, we'll get there. But who knows? I mean,
So I just
really, when it comes down to it, be creative. Just be creative, people. Have a good time.
signed
Exactly.
up the the NEA, which is the big National Education Association, just made this big deal with OpenAI and Meta and all that, and they're trying to get educators signed up to take these courses, and I'm definitely signing up because I want to watchdog what the hell's going on. I signed up for this like 13-week course they called like the ethics of AI and the use in the classroom. So I can't wait to see what they're doing because this is in
Yeah,
association with the bad guys. And the
yeah,
teachers are saying, well, it's inevitable. We might as well have a seat at the table to see what's going
yeah.
on. And so I'm signing up and seeing what the hell's going on. But I'm already alarmed. Kurt, since we last hung out last week, I saw Sam Altman make an announcement that
Yeah.
that they're going to be, turning more to erotic, adult, content and everything, and that they're at the same time they're going to be expanding into companions, AI companions for people.
Yep. Yep.
So
They've
It's
already
still,
doing. That's been.
well, yeah, it's already been, but like ChatGPT was, they're like the big one. They were like staying above the fray, and they're not just like one of these little apps that is, giving you a little porno buddy. Well, now it seems like their investors are getting
Porno.
restless. No, it's true, Kurt. I told you about.
No, Jake, I'm with you, maybe a little ahead of it, because it's all about the training models. They've all plateaued out. Did you watch that Rick Beata video I sent you? Because
Yes,
I'm not going to hold a okay, good. Because I was going to hold a conversation with you ever again until you watch this Rick
I
Beata
saw it. Yeah.
episode. Because he really, because he's a musician and he puts it down just exactly the same way. I mean, I kind of stole that same kind of like, it's about innovation. Everything is instrumental. Everything's an instrument. If it's, and you are one too, but you have this key element inside you that is priceless, and it's a gift, and you should, really take care of yourself to be able to like, put it together. But I don't want to take any more time on that topic or Jeff's time because we got a whole day ahead of ourselves here. So let's wrap this up. Jeff, we always give our guests the last segment here to just tell us again where people can find you, what you're working on, what anticipate coming soon. Let us have it.
Oh, you can find me on Instagram is where I usually hang out under Dr. underscore twisted TWISTID. Like I twist your ID, I twist your persona.
Id.
But that's where I post most of my art and what's going on. But for Hundo, we're working on like Gobbo. We're gonna do a Kickstarter for that pretty soon, and we're also working on a new Mondo Hundo, which is another anthology book with tons of different artists doing short stories, like from 4 to 10 pages long, I think it is. And then there's artists and interviews and stuff. It's gonna be a huge book. That's why it's called Mondo Hundo. But I'm currently putting that one together now, and I'm also, like I said, I'm getting close to finishing my winter journey artwork, and then I just got to put all the words and stuff in.
Yeah,
But
we
that
want we
one's
want to have you back on when that's on. I'm very curious to see that because I want to see what the collab looks like there.
good. Well, it's all my artwork. It's just like her characters and some ideas that she throws in. But the first book is mostly me because when I started it and wrote the story, she was still like 2, 3, 4 years old.
Ah, it's so cool.
Right, the Age
But
of Wonder. My God, you know.
but the characters that she came up with and some ideas, like right now we're working on it again, where she's given me ideas and characters to add into the book, and so I have like a few book ideas for future stories. But this one is basically, it starts out with her already in the post-apocalyptic world. And then at the end of what was going to be the first issue, she falls asleep. And the second issue was going to be the origin story that retells the whole beginning and how it all came about. But I added that into the first book as well. So, but
So
it's been a lot of fun, and I've been pushing myself artistically and creative wise again. So it'll be a lot of fun.
It's awesome.
you know, that is so cool. When my kids were little, like I put a guitar in their hands, I put a basketball in their hands. I tried to say like, what are these kids? You know, am I gonna be able to like do some cool stuff with these girls? And you know, they're into other things. You know, God bless them. You know, they're very talented kids, but they're not into dad's hobbies. So, you know, I luckily I'm a middle school teacher, so I you know there's plenty of kids around all the time that I can you know do those fun things with. But it's always interesting to see you know the work through the eyes of like you know some younger kids, like they're at the age of like curiosity and wonder, but you also see what they're picking up you know from the world. Isn't it always fun?
Oh, I love watching my daughter's imagination and creativity grow. She's always drawing and painting her own characters, and she's got this whole little world of her own. But she plays guitar. She's got guitar lessons every week,
Oh wow,
and
really?
and her thing is she does animations on YouTube. She does these little like short animations to music that she likes.
Yeah.
She's, I mean, she did one of The Rock as a like a furry, and that thing went viral. It has over 40,000 views.
That's awesome.
I
Wow.
was like, oh my god! I'm like, you doubled the video I have.
Right.
Like, I think the most I have on one is like 19,000 views.
Yeah, my daughter put this like little thing on TikTok. It was only like 5 seconds long, and next thing you know, she had like 200,000 views. And you never know when something's gonna take off like that.
It's crazy, but yeah, I love watching her and
That's good.
pushing
Well,
her
she got
imagination.
yeah. The apple doesn't fall too far from the tree, as they say.
I'm excited to see what the future holds for her because she is very talented and very smart. And
Yeah, and we can learn from them too because sometimes they're better with the technology than we are. You know.
Oh, they are better. You got
oh
to
yeah,
be kidding me. That's the secret. Is that they're going to crush it with all this technology, and they're going to surprise us. You know.
she's had an iPad or a little like iPod in her hand since she was a baby. So I mean,
Yeah, that's the
she
point.
already
Yeah,
she already knows lots more than
yeah,
I do.
Do you
yeah.
know what she's
And
using?
it's like integrated in their psyche in a sense. In other words, they have the accessibility to these tools, which really in you know just having YouTube as a free platform to express yourself and your ideas and your creativity, you know, and then you get that kind of viral sense, you know, that's a major thing. I mean, the most you could hope for when you were that age was doing something in the local news. You know, the newspaper came by and they were like, "Hey, there's young Kurt Brugel just won the blue ribbon for doing a you know a portrait of his granddaddy." You know, blah 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 blah. You know, like that kind of thing. But now it's just you know it's right there, so it comes along. But the other thing too, Jeff, is that you know we don't do one and dones here. Jake and I, Jake and I have also set up what's called the Indie Creator Update Reel. You'll be getting an email probably a month or so from me, you know, to let things settle down for you, and then you can submit an update reel it's a minute or less at horizontally shot, just literally updating us, and then I get them with everybody else we've done interviews, and then I post them on YouTube together. So be on the lookout for that. But like Jake said, you know, when you have something pretty big like a Kickstarter, try to get us ahead of time, like a month or two ahead of time, when you expect to need some promotion. And we'll definitely work with you on that because you have some great things going on and some great things coming down the road. But I can't thank you enough for spending the time with us. And Jake, let's let these people get back to reading comics, making them if they choose.
Right on. So, if you're enjoying this, you can check out our other creator interviews. We have dozens of them sitting there, and we also have a channel where we do flip throughs of interesting comics and comic art, and that's called Comics That Influence. So check out those channels on our YouTube landing page, and of course, every Sunday at 10, we are drawing in split screen for an hour on the Making of Turbo Pit Fighter podcast. So that's it, and we'll see you folks next Sunday at 10 a.m. Eastern. So, peace in the
Appreciate
Middle East.
it.
You're
Thank
welcome. And hold tight, Jeff. And Jake, I'll see you next Sunday.
All right, Kurt.